It's the Real Estate Podcast, across every state, city and town of Australia.
And welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Podcast, available on iHeartRadio and also Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Well, it's the start of another working week as our Monday morning gets going at your place for June the 20th for 2022. Coming up in just a moment, we'll be looking at the tighter labour market and the housing pressure that it's causing on the market. And if you haven't heard, we are giving away to one lucky Breakfast Club member a 2-night stay with a ton of activities with food, wine, spa experience, you name it. It's a fantastic escape to the Hunter Valley, and we've put it together with our friends from the Hunter Valley Wine and Tourism Association. And shortly we'll talk with Katie Lee from the Hunter Valley with more details on how you can win.
It's the Main Centre forecast with propertybuyer.com.au.
All right, let's check on your weather around Australia on this Monday morning. First, we go to Sydney, expecting the possibility of some rain. So maybe it's a 50-50 for your weather today, expecting a high of 19 degrees. Melbourne expecting a late shower or two, and 17 is your high. Brisbane partly cloudy but dry, and expecting a high in Brisbane of 22 degrees. And in Perth, 1 or 2 showers and your high today of 20 degrees. Well, if you like your Formula One racing as I do, Daniel Ricciardo has had more bad luck in the Formula One, this time at the Canadian Grand Prix, with a nightmare pit stop from his team. So it had nothing to do with Ricciardo, who was one of the first drivers to pit on lap 20. However, his racing team completely took away any chance of him ending with points when they had him stationary in the pit for more than 7 seconds. He ended in 12th position, so things really not going well for Ricciardo at all at McLaren, amid those rumours that he looks set to lose his driver's seat for next season. So let's hope he can turn things around.
Hello, I'm Amy. I'm an AI and extremely professional. I love real estate, and I look forward to bringing you the latest news, trends, and analysis. And I even help Craig interview the many guests and commentators each week. You'll hear me on most days, only here on the Real Estate Podcast.
We feature market updates, interviews and trends. It's your real estate podcast for breakfast.
And if you're celebrating your birthday today, you're celebrating with Lionel Richie from the Commodores. He's turning 72. John Goodman, the actor, is turning 69. And Nicole Kidman, our very own, is turning 54 years young today. And it was on this day in 1975, Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg, hit the cinemas and scared a generation out of the waters around Australia.
It doesn't sound that scary.
Are you kidding me? That music still haunts people in 2022.
Enjoy your morning coffee. Wake up every morning to the Real Estate Podcast.
And let's go to Katie Lee. She is in the marketing department at the Hunter Valley Wine and Tourism Association. She's going to tell us a little bit about these prizes. And a very good morning, Katie. Welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, good morning, Craig. Thanks for having me back.
Okay, so tell us a little bit, maybe a recap. We spoke on Saturday. There'll be some people that didn't maybe hear that. So just recap that first piece of prize.
For the first piece of this prize, the winner will get to stay at Mercure Resort Hunter Valley Gardens. Now, it's 2 nights accommodation, breakfast included both mornings. Mercure Resort is a 4.5-star accommodation. They are a luxury resort. They've got an in-house restaurant called Elements Bar and Dining. They've got a spa on site as well. So Heavenly Hunter Massage offers a range of massages and treatments to complement your stay there as well. And it's just a short walking distance from the world famous Hunter Valley Gardens, which is Australia's largest display garden. So you've got access to everything on site, and it's in the heart of the Hunter Valley in Port Colborne, access to everything you need during your stay within walking distance or driving distance. It's got it all.
It does sound very, very luxurious. And what about the second piece of the puzzle? We've got another prize to announce as part of the package.
Oh, look, you do. And look, Craig, it's wine country. So, of course, there's going to be at least one, I'm not going to say how many, but at least one wine tasting gift voucher. So today we're going to be talking about Deulius Wines. Now, Deulius Wines are actually the 2022 Cellar Door of the Year. It was just awarded in May. So it's very new, very fresh. And they are offering a $100 gift voucher to do their deluxe tasting experience.
That sounds wonderful. I understand it's hands-on. What does it include?
They will take you through their wine tasting process with the talented Mike Deulius. He's the winemaker, he's the owner, and also it's their 20th year this year. So there's a lot to celebrate with Deulius. When you have these tasting experiences, whether you're a wine connoisseur, a wine enthusiast, or maybe you just like to drink, you're going to have a fantastic experience at Deulius Wines. They know how to show you a good time.
Yes, it wouldn't be a weekend away without a little bit of wine tasting, and that is Katie Lee. Thank you, Katie. We'll get you back tomorrow morning to reveal some more of these pieces into the competition.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Craig. I look forward to chatting to you tomorrow morning.
If you've got a question that needs answering, you can email us at myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com.
And the Australian employment rebounded strongly for the month of May. Figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics last Thursday showed that net employment surged by over 60,000 in May from April, when it ended up at just 4,000, and that far surpassed market forecasts of a 25,000 rise. The jobless rate held at 3.9% in May. And the RBA Governor Philip Lowe says that there's a big backlog of construction work and the number of job vacancies is extraordinarily high. And in that environment, he says people will keep spending. Well, he's going to hope so. And of course, off the back of that, we're expecting further half-point rate hikes next month in July, also in August and September. So it is coming. And coming up next is a segment from Tony Alexander, an economist who we spoke with recently, about the job market in Australia and New Zealanders coming to Australia to help fill those jobs.
We feature market updates, interviews and trends. It's your real estate podcast for breakfast.
What is happening across the Tasman at the moment with New Zealand's brightest immigrating to Australia? We are now starting to come out of that big, dark COVID hole. And on the other side, New Zealanders are looking at their job prospects and saying, hang on, the same job and wages in Australia is a lot of the time not just marginally better, but substantially better.
Yeah, definitely. This is a characteristic, I guess, for New Zealand. We pretty much all view Australia as part of the labour market we can go into. And as long as you don't have a bad conviction, or you're not already a 501 deportee out of Australia, next week you can be on a plane and working anywhere across, where we are now in Oz. And New Zealand has a history where our migration numbers tend to get moved around a lot by Kiwis going overseas or coming back. In Australia, it's different. For yourselves, it's more definitely the migration policy of the federal government. For ourselves, we've had massive periods in the past, many occasions over the generations, where conditions are very strong in Australia, usually in the mineral sector. We Kiwis will hop across to Australia. We say to ourselves, I'm going to work here for 3 to 5 years, make a nest egg, and then go back to New Zealand. Well, most do not go back. There's about 650,000 Kiwi citizens and residents still in Australia. And as I say, whereas in the past it was predominantly into the mineral sector, this time around the demand is coming from virtually all sectors in Australia. You don't have enough builders, drain layers, carpenters, etc. You don't have enough farm workers. You don't have enough shop people to work in the shops. You don't have enough people, obviously, in the rapidly growing mineral sector. You've got a missile factory to build, eventually a submarine base. You want to boost the armed forces about a third over the next few years. And we Kiwis, of course, we've been locked down. Well, sort of not able to get in and out of the country easily for 2 years. We want to do our OE, the overseas experience. And we also, with a soaring cost of living, high house prices, rising interest rates, people are basically looking at earning some more money in Australia. And I think we're going to have some pretty big outflows from New Zealand, at a minimum to Australia. Some go further afield, usually to London.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.